Going on YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. And we're back as promised. It's Friday, and this is our second video of the day. We want to make sure we give you guys some awesome content. And today we're giving away a giveaway. As I promised, we're going to be giving you guys a sentencing narrative giveaway. Well, at least we're going to be giving it to one of you. So it is a contest. You do have to go through some hoops, jump through do a few things to make it happen. There is directions in the description of this video, and we'll chat about that in a second. 6 o'clock on the dot. I told you I'd be back at 6. Some of you guys are like, twice in one day. We don't see you for like 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden on Friday, can't get enough of me. I appreciate you guys coming back to join. For those of you that are here, and I would try to pronounce the first viewer in the room, but it's we're just going to call you Duck, D-U-C-C. I'm not sure what your name means, but appreciate the comment. Give everybody a few minutes and we'll jump in and talk about this. We were on about 3 hours ago, and we were actually doing a fundraising video for John Hill, Jon-Hill. He is an inmate that has less than adequate funds, so we decided to do a little fundraiser for him, and I think we raised 50 or 60 bucks. We almost hit our goal. So if you're interested in helping out somebody that's in prison that's going through a very tough period of time, they get out in about a year. All you got to do is go watch the video that we did right before this one, and there's a link in the description. You guys can give John a little bit of TLC. But today, getting ready for the holidays, we know that we've got all these holidays coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and everyone's getting ready to bring their kids back to school. I know finances can be tough. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have all kinds of extra money, especially when you're going through this federal process where maybe you've dumped quite a bit of money into a private attorney, or you've lost your job, or who knows. This can just be a very, very trying time. So we want to try to give back to the community a little bit. So we are doing a sentencing narrative giveaway, and it's pretty simple, cut and dry kind of a process. I'll jump in here and kind of read you. We got some basic rules. One of the rules is you have to be a subscriber of my channel. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, you have to like this video. You just have to hit the little thumbs up. Number 3 is you need to leave a comment in the comment section of the video, not right here in the live chat, but in the comment section of the video, you have to leave a comment. And there's a submission form. There's a link to the submission form if you are interested in getting your sentencing narrative. I'll go ahead and post this in the description. Into the chat right here. With the feds, do you have to take it to trial to be able to get your motion of discovery, or is that with the state? Now, you don't have to go to trial. If you're taking a plea agreement, or if you should be able to see your discovery before you determine whether you want to take a plea or not. If your attorney isn't fighting for you to get your discovery, but he wants you to take a plea deal, I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to give you legal advice, but I would not be signing a plea deal without seeing my discovery. So no, I definitely saw my discovery before I took my plea. So today's video, the whole point of this video is, if you don't understand the power of a narrative and what the point of the narrative is, let's talk about that for a few minutes so you can understand what you're getting. This isn't just a letter that you're going to write to the judge. Kinda. So narrative, if your narrative is done correctly, it can influence the outcome. So who's going to read your narrative? Who should read your narrative? A lot of federal attorneys don't do things the way that we like to do things, or they've never seen, I shouldn't say they don't like to. A lot of them have never done it through the system that we've seen have the best outcome. And what we've seen work the best. What's going on, Anthony Ganji from Tier Talk? Go check out Anthony Ganji's channel over at Tier Talk if you want to see some interesting facts. Looks like he's threw up a few videos about Jeffrey Epstein over the last few days. Anthony is a correctional officer who has a YouTube channel, so his channel is all about correction. And one of these days, Anthony's gonna do me a solid and come on my channel, or vice versa. So hope you're doing good, my man. Glad to see you. Glad for you to join us. So personal narrative. If your personal narrative is done right and you understand what type of work needs to go into this narrative, it can have such a tremendous impact the day of sentencing. So why is it important to get your narrative to U.S. probation. I don't mean the probation officer that you're on pretrial with or the probation officer that's going to come over to your house and watch you pee in a cup. I'm talking about the pretrial probation officer that's going to conduct your pre-sentence interview. The reason why this is my bad, Anthony, he is a superintendent at a prison. And feel free to tell people where you're at, Anthony, like what prison you work at and whatnot. But yeah, I can't wait to hook up with you. If your narrative is done correctly, what will happen is you're actually going to have your narrative finished right around the time or just before you actually do the pre-sentence interview. The pre-sentence interview is going to take place after you take your plea agreement, or for those of you that decide to go to trial, if you go to trial and lose, that's when your pre-sentence interview would take place. Most of you are going to be taking a plea deal. At the time of your plea deal, you're going to go stand in front of the judge. You're going to admit guilt. Shortly after that, sometimes the same day, you're going to meet with an officer from the U.S. probation that is going to sit with you, and they're going to go through your background. They're going to go through your finances. They're going to go through your mental health. They're going to go through your substance abuse. And again, this is where qualifying or getting disqualified for RDAP has a lot to do with what you say and what you don't say during that pre-sentence interview. But at this same time, during that pre-sentence interview, you got to remember, your mind's going to be all over the place. Most of you are going to walk in there unprepared, uneducated to what really takes place during this, and you're just going to very vaguely answer these questions. Well, when you vaguely answer these questions, the notes that he's going to take are vague notes because he can only write down the basic information that you tell him. So the more prepared you are for the pre-sentence interview, the better the potential outcome is going to be. If you go in there with a well-organized, a well-written narrative, and when I say well-organized, well-written narrative, there are certain steps in the narrative that needs to take place. It's not just this letter glorifying what a good person you are, how you're sorry for what you did, how you're not going to do it again, how you go to church on the weekends. You're not just here to paint this beautiful picture of all of the good things that you did. We don't go to prison because we're good people. We're not going to prison because of all of the good things we're doing. Most of us are going to prison because we made a mistake, and owning that mistake, demonstrating the level of responsibility that we take. If that's done right, and you convey this message through writing, and you give this to the probation officer during the pre-sentence interview, the chances are that you're going to give that probation officer so much more information about you than they probably would have asked, that the chances are that the pre-sentence interview, when the report is finished, the report is going to be much more favorable than it probably would have been if you had just gone in there blindly. So what is the point of the pre-sentence interview? What is that report, what is it actually used for? Well, when the probation officer is finished with this report is going to be given to the judge as a recommendation as to what type of sentence they feel the judge should impose. Are they just going to recommend within the guideline range? Are they going to recommend low end of the guidelines? Are they going to recommend high end of the guidelines? Or is probation potentially even to consider a downward departure from the guidelines? So the more input that you put now, the more work that you put in, the better prepared you are, the more likely that this probation officer is going to make a favorable suggestion when he's giving his recommendation to the judge as to what type of sentence the judge should impose on you. Then the judge is going to also read your narrative. And you have to remember, the judge has probably read, depending how long he's been on that bench, thousands of narratives in the course of his time being a federal sentencing judge. What are you going to put in your narrative that the judge hasn't seen before? A lot of you think somehow you're going to connect with this judge on some sort of a sympathetic level to where they're going to feel for you because maybe you're a single mother or you're a single father or you're the sole provider in your household or you have a family member that has some sort of whether it be cancer or another issue, or maybe you have a challenged child at home and you think the judge is going to take this into consideration. I'm not going to say the judge never takes that into consideration, but I can tell you almost everybody that's going through the sentencing process, they try to almost go a little overboard, elaborate on why they shouldn't be going to prison. They create things that maybe aren't as bad as they might be putting this onto pen and paper. So when you don't do what everybody else has done, when you take a different direction, when you focus more on the accountability, when you stay away from things like please give me probation, or please give me leniency, or I'm sorry, give me a second chance. I know everybody wants to get probation. Trust me, the judge knows you want probation, but putting it into your narrative isn't doing you any favors. That's just one small aspect of it. There's so much more that needs to go into this, from identifying victims, level of accountability, what you're doing with your free time, how you've conducted your life out in community. What type of community involvement do you have beyond just being a good neighbor? If you really create this proper dynamic, you truly can create the best possible outcome. So what we found through narrative writing, and since Jenny Good has become part of our team several years ago, we've been able to develop a system that has created amazing results time and time again for our clients. The best way that we can do this and articulate this is to help you get your mind in the right direction by supplying you with several questions. Instead of just saying, hey, here's an idea, here's an outline, now go write your narrative. Instead of doing that, because you still don't know where to start, you're still completely lost. In your mind, you're going to go to the self-preservation mode where you're going to start pitting yourself into a corner and you're going to start saying things that aren't necessarily going to be in your best interest. So instead of doing that method, we found a much smoother way. And what we do is we provide you with a series of questions that is through an electronic document. You're going to answer these questions, and then Jenny, based on your answers, she'll go in and start crafting your narrative based on how you answer these questions. So the first step is us getting to know you, understanding what your situation is, understanding who your judge is, understanding how the dynamic can play together, and more importantly, putting a powerful written oral narrative together for sentencing that we're certain the judge hasn't seen anything like this. And the reason why that's important is you want the judge to look at this and you want it to stick out in his mind. And you want that judge to go, this is the type of person that I potentially would consider giving anywhere from a probated sentence to a highly reduced sentence, departing from the sentencing guideline range. Now, obviously, if you have a minimum mandatory, the judge's hands are tied unless you qualify for something else like safety valve or something to that effect. But the average person with a safety valve, that they've taken a plea agreement, safety valve exists, you're going to be limited on what type of results that you can obtain. But remember, if you have a minimum mandatory, that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get. That means that's the best case scenario, but the judge could still go above that minimum mandatory. So you want to do everything within your power to create that best possible outcome. And I tell you, it starts with taking accountability. My first bit of advice for you is take accountability. Now let's get into this narrative. I know right now for a lot of individuals, funds are very, very tight with the holidays, with federal sentencing, with losing your job, whatever's going on. A narrative of this caliber, this is well over $1,000 value that we're going to be giving away to several of you for free. Right now we're giving one free narrative, and we're going to announce the winner next Friday at noon. I believe that's what I put in the email. At noon, next Friday, Eastern time. So all you need to do to register yourself to see if you can qualify for this free, and look, this is not a watered down version of our narrative writing. You're not just going to get a template. This is going to be the same exact service that many other individuals pay for. Now, this is only the narrative. It's not coming up with anything else. We're not doing your reference letters. This isn't going to come with the mentoring or anything else, but we want to at least give you something that can get you on the right track. So we value this over $1,000 for the time that goes into this. What you need to do is you need to be a subscriber of our YouTube channel. You need to like this video. You need to leave a comment on this video in the comment section. You need to leave a comment, and you need to fill out the submission form. And again, if you don't see the submission form, it's right here. Boom, there you go. That is the submission form that will put you into the running for the race. And I really want to see who we can give this to. And I hope whoever gets it needs it, deserves it. And I hope you put the time and effort into it. Just because it's free, don't take it for granted. Don't put less effort into it. I know a lot of times if you don't put stock in something, you don't really have the value behind it. But I'm hoping with this case, I'm hoping those of you that appreciate the value and the hard work and the effort that goes into this from both ends, not just our end, but from your end as well. We can only work with the information you give us. So the more value that you give Jenny, the more value she's going to be able to return to you. If you're early in your stages and you have not taken a plea deal yet, or you haven't done your pre-sentence interview yet, I urge you to add yourself to this list and try to get in the running for this, because this could be a game changer, and this can really help you also shape your mind to what you're going to have your friends and family do when it comes to character reference letters. Maybe we'll do a giveaway in a couple of weeks on some reference letters. It's more or less the same process, different dynamic, different understanding of the mindset. You're dealing with a different section. It's coming from how your friends and family are viewing you and why they're willing to be your reference. Also identifying the impact of your choices, how it's affecting them. There really is a strong dynamic here. Everything needs to be very cohesive and work together. But one of the biggest things that we've stressed since the time I've been on YouTube, 2016 to right now, the biggest thing that I can stress is your narrative and your reference letters, you taking responsibility early on, admitting what you did, not holding out on the government, not thinking they're going to come back with a better deal, not thinking this is going to blow over. If you're under a federal indictment, there's a strong possibility that you are actually looking at a realistic federal prison sentence. I know many of you are in like a terminal denial where you feel like, no way, they're going to see I'm a good person, they're going to see I made a mistake, they're going to see that I don't deserve to go to prison, and the universe is going to correct its mistakes. It does not work that way. You need to take this really serious right now. And for those of you that are interested in our full services, I will give you a consultation link that you're more than welcome to book a consultation with us to see what we can actually do for you. It's for an hour consultation. There's a link for that as well. Feel free, jump on there, book a consultation, and we'll see what we might be able to do for you. But we have many services that are available, from completely preparing prior to going into prison. We have services that take place while you're in prison. If you're having administrative issues in the prison, maybe you qualify for programs that they're not qualifying you for. Maybe you think you should be qualifying for a compassionate release, or you have any kind of an issue. We have experts in every area. Many of you have met Tom Root. He's come on my channel a couple times now. He's an amazing expert when it comes to anything that you might be struggling with inside the BOP, where you feel like maybe you or your family is not getting the proper services or the proper care, or maybe it's a medical need. You feel like you need a transfer for medical purposes. If you have a legitimate reason to want to transfer from one prison to another other than I don't like it here, this might be something that Tom Root and our team can help you manifest. But you have to pick up the phone. You have to get on your keyboard. You have to be the one that's willing to take that first step. And I can't tell you enough. If I could stress how important I wish I had put time and effort into my narrative, and I wish I understood the impact. My narrative and reference letters probably look like everybody else's narrative and reference letters. I spoke about being a father. I spoke about how hard this was going to be on my children. I spoke about the fact that I had a mother that was dying of Alzheimer's and dementia, and she was in a nursing home, and she probably wasn't going to make it until I got out of prison. I talked about my upbringing and how I had my own struggles, hoping that somehow some of this would resonate and the judge would go, poor Dan. It didn't happen. It did not happen. The first thing and the only thing the judge said to me was, Mr. Wise, if all of these were concerns of yours, if your children were such a strong concern of you not going to prison, you would have thought about this before you committed the crimes that you committed. Now, I understand many of you, when it comes to what the crime was that you actually committed and the plea agreement you actually took, they may not be seeing eye to eye. Many of you take plea deals because if you don't, you're looking at a much heftier sentence. And I'm not going to say it's fair. I'm not going to say that you did exactly what the government said you did. However, you took a plea deal stating you did exactly what the government said you did. So once you've done that, there's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You are all in at that point. Accountability is your only friend, and accountability beyond acceptance of responsibility. Anybody taking a plea deal is going to have the basic acceptance of responsibility for the most part. And all that acceptance of responsibility is doing for the most part is getting you a downward departure in your guidelines so you don't go to prison for a lengthier time, which means the judge, the prosecutor, your attorney, everybody knows the reason why you have acceptance of responsibility is to get a shorter sentence. How do you go outside of that to illustrate to the judge that you're demonstrating in your actions are showing responsible actions beyond just wanting to get a shorter sentence? How are you going to convince the judge that you're truly sorry for what you did, that you truly identify who your victims are, and what actionable steps have you taken? It all starts with your narrative. That's where it all starts. That's why we've decided to give somebody a free narrative. All you need to do is put in your information, subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment on this video, and go to our website, and fill out the link. It's right here. I'm posting it again for you. Boom. It's like 3 times in the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it's that simple, guys. It really is that simple. We want to see everybody succeed. We don't want to see people get left behind because they are less fortunate and they don't have as much funds as somebody else, or they're in a dire situation. So we can't help everybody, but we can do services like this that we can give promotions from time to time. It's no sweat off my back. Jenny's going to be the one that's going to be knuckle grinding to get this done for you. Sorry, Jenny. Jenny's in the room somewhere. She's probably cursing me out right now. She's probably drinking Red Bull and coffee at the same time because she doesn't get a lot of sleep. We've had clients literally. We just had a client that surrendered today. Amazing client. She was going to come on and do an interview, but something happened with the connection. We couldn't get her on. Amazing client. We helped her get 3 extensions to self-surrender. And literally the last extension that we got her was the day before she surrendered. And they didn't even ask us to do this, the surrender until about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening the day before. I think Jenny was up till about 5 a.m. that morning, going back and forth with the client and the attorney, creating the reason to help them get the extension. 3 extensions of self-surrender. Now, I know that might be a little bit absurd. Some of you are like, why? I just want to get my time started. Well, she had some serious issues. She's got some issues going on with her mother, some serious health issues, and she wanted to make sure she had everything taken care of with her mother before she went to prison. So today she started her journey on, I believe it's a 24-month sentence. She was initially looking at about 60 months. We helped her get a sentence reduction down to 24 months, and we helped her get 3 self-surrender extensions. So to me, that's a victory. Victory is in the eyes of the beholder. Everybody wants probation. Everybody's not getting probation. But if you work as if you're going to get probation, if I told you, I promise you this narrative will get you probation, everybody and their mother would be contacting us to help them prepare their narratives. The reality is we can't make that promise because it's not even close to a realistic promise. But what we can promise you is if you actually do shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, you're going to go to prison. You're not going to lay in your bunk and wonder what you could have done different. You're going to know that you left it all out, and we're making it extremely easy today. Sign up, put yourself on this list to see if you can win yourself a free sentencing narrative. This is a full service sentencing narrative. We're not pulling any punches. It's not a watered down version. It's not a template. It's not some Mickey Mouse. Here's what you need to go do. Now go do it on your own. We are literally going to walk you through the step just as if you paid us $1,000. You're getting your value. You're getting your money's worth. And more importantly, we're getting to give back and help people because you guys are the reason why I'm able to do what I do today. If it wasn't for YouTube and people on there Googling during sleepless nights, think about it. How many of you aren't going to sleep tonight or tomorrow night because the anxiety and the thought of going to prison, of the unknown, is so overwhelming. You don't know what to talk. You don't know what to say to your kids. You don't know what to say to your family. You don't know if and when you're going to go, when you're going to go, what's it actually going to be like? Am I going to survive this? Is my life going to be okay after prison? Am I going to be able to be employable? Am I going to be unemployable, dateable? There's so many fears that runs through the average person's mind. That's the reason why we stay up and I take messages and I respond to text messages at 2 a.m. sometimes. There's been many of nights where 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I get up to use the bathroom, get a drink of water, and I'll see a random text message from an unknown number that I don't recognize, just going through something very stressful at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. And, why not? Give somebody a call. I know I would have appreciated a call like that at 2 in the morning when I was going through what I was going through. It was the worst feeling in the world thinking about going to prison. But now you guys have a guide. Allow me to be your spiritual guide. Allow me to put you into the best place. Allow me to be your consultant, your coach. Jenny is a certified life coach. We have a chemical dependency professional. So if you feel like you have a substance abuse issue and you want to get that under control and you want to have that documented properly in your pre-sentence interview, there's so many things that you can do to position yourself. But the first step, either pick up the phone, get on your computer. For many of you right now that are financially struggling, take advantage of this. Take advantage of this. Make sure you're a subscriber. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment on this video. And make sure you go to the link, which I'll post one more time because I'm such a nice prison consultant. Boom. There you go. That's all you got to do is fill that out. It's that simple. Jeff S. They always make it out to be worse than it is. What are we talking about, Jeff? Not sure what we're talking about on that one. But this is going to be a short video, guys. I know it's Friday. Last thing you guys want to do is sit around and hang out with RDAP Dan while he drinks coffee. Who drinks coffee at 6:30 at night? This guy. I used to get messages all the time about, I hate the way you drink coffee, Dan. I'm sorry. I really am going to get back to making more videos. I miss it. And now that Jenny's got a strong grip on the back end, and Billy and Diane and Tom, we've got this amazing team of support now. I'm able to get back to what I love to do, which is talk to you guys, take the calls, get on YouTube, and just make some magic moments, because we make magic moments when we share like this. I know a lot of you, I feel like we have a connection. The way you guys text me and the communication, we go back and forth, it really does turn into a super awesome ability to be able to share with so many people sitting here on YouTube. It's crazy. It's really, really a fascinating phenomenon that I never would have known if I hadn't gone to federal prison. I've had some amazing opportunities since going to federal prison. I have some amazing opportunities coming up in September and October that I'll tell you guys about a whole lot more after the fact. Can't talk about it right now, but if it hadn't been for me making what I thought was going to be the single worst mistake of my entire life, which turned around to be completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. So going to prison doesn't have to define you. You don't have to allow this to rule the rest of your life. You have to find a way to maintain and manage your anxiety. There's no getting rid of your anxiety, but I promise you, you can maintain and you can manage it. Taking one day at a time, it really starts with focusing on what you can do to make tomorrow better. Forget about what you didn't do yesterday. What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do the day after that? Don't think about next week. Don't think about next month. Let's take step by step. And then your short-term goals will turn into massive long-term goals, and you will have a successful journey. That's a good question, Doc. Doc says, do I have to wait? Maybe. I don't know if you can leave a comment or not while I'm live or not, but if you, hey, you might have to come back. But we're going to wrap this video up, guys. Again, I appreciate all of you that donated earlier to John Hill. I think somebody else just donated here. I saw something on PayPal pop up on my phone. Yep. We received another donation for John Hill from somebody named Joanna. Awesome. If you're watching right now, much appreciated. But guys, that's all I got for you. The winner will be announced next Friday at noon. The cutoff is next Thursday at midnight. So whether it's midnight Eastern, East Coast, West Coast, whatever midnight is for you, Doc, you left a message, or you left a comment, so I see it. My federal court date is September 10th. Maybe you'll be the winner. September 10th is coming up pretty soon, but email me, text me, Doc. My information's on the screen. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Text the word YouTube to 76626. That will put you on our text messaging notification list so you never miss a live or pre-recorded video. I'm RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time, People Helping People, Communities Method, one day at a time. I love you all. Don't forget to get yourself in the system right now so you can be put on the list to win your sentencing narrative. All right, guys, I love every single one of you, and I will see you next week. You guys have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. I'm out of here. Peace.